The WGI season is now behind us, and it's time to transition into the summer drum corps international season. With the 2025 DCI season right around the corner, I figured who can I talk to give you guys a perspective into what's going on right now at the top organizations. So I figured who better than Tony Gamez, drum major with the Bluecoats. Last season, he was on their baritone euphonium line the year before that, and now will be on the podium once again in 2025. So let's take a look behind the curtain with the 2025 Bluecoats. Hey everybody, I'm Andy Shama and I'm here with Tony from the Bluecoats. He's one of the drum majors. You may have seen him last year. Now he'll be on the podium conducting again. So we're going to talk with him a little bit about the fall season and what it's like to be a world champion and heading into April camp and going into spring training. So, Tony, first of all, let's introduce yourself formally. Tell us your name, your role, and your experience in the drum corps community.
My name is Tony Gamez. I've been with the Bluecoats ever since I started in drum corps in 2023. Started on the Barry Youth line with the Garden of Love. Great show, loved it. Thought it was fantastic. That next following year in 2024, decided to move up in the ranks and decided to become drum major. And then became drum major again in 2025, and so can't wait for what the season holds and what I think the Bluecoats are going to be cooking up this season.
Yeah, awesome. I think everybody else is very excited as well to kind of get a look behind the curtain. But first, I do want to talk a little bit about the 2024 season and, the second time the Bluecoats won a DCI World Championship and what that was like, especially, the day after. You go home. What was that like from your perspective? You got this new gold medal, you've got this amazing experience and all these memories with the 2024 Bluecoats family, I guess.
You know, I never would have thought. It's definitely cherry on top, you could say, of what the season was. And our goal last year was to not win, but to be the best Bluecoats that there ever was. And I thought we did a great job about that. The day after finals, we usually have our banquet on Sunday. And so we all got to get together one more time before we all splitted ways heading back home. And so it was honestly a time of celebration for us. We were excited. It's so magical to realize that you just won a championship and you're like a gold medalist. To go to sleep and then wake up the very next day and realize that you still are that, it's an amazing experience because of the fact that not a lot of people get to say that they're a world champion in Drum Corps International. And so to go out there and perform and then to come back the next day and relive basically what we did Saturday night was pretty special, especially for the vets, the rookies, the people that were coming in like 2-3 years of drum corps experience, and to actually, do it and say that, wow, I'm a world champion. I just did that. I performed for thousands and thousands of people in a stadium, and they crushed it. And so I think it was celebration, and it was definitely something that us as a drum corps, as a family, was something that we will never forget. We'll always remember the memories and the experiences that we're going to have coming off that field on Saturday night.
So tell me, like, what has the audition process been like reflecting on, you have this world championship, it's going to change the membership, it's going to change the way that the community looks at the Bluecoats in 2025. So how has it been kind of preparing for not only that pressure, but that excitement and just making sure you harness it in the right way?
I've always told the drum corps, especially this season that's coming up, it's so much harder to stay at the top, and it's so much easier to fall right back down. I think our true focus is not to focus on what everybody else is trying to do and how they're trying to, come at us and things like that, but to prepare ourselves to push ourselves even further from where we were last year, and to put ourselves up for better success in the off season, especially because I think a lot of drum corps understand that doing the off season correctly is going to absolutely project like yourselves to be at the highest of levels during the season. And so I told the members during each of the audition camps, don't feel like you have to be somebody else. Be your person, be yourself, show off, do what you need to do so that way when it comes to spring training, things are going to be so much easier and you're already going to feel more relaxed. You're already going to feel that vibe of like, oh, I'm good. I've already been doing this since day one, since I auditioned. And so putting them in a better perspective of understanding that we are all in the exact same place. Either vet, championship vet, new members, we're all in the same place. We're not different, we're not anything like that. It's starting from ground zero basically. I think leveling out the playing field with all the vets and new members, it's going to make it so much easier so that they feel more comfortable about going up to vets and going up to staff and asking them questions and being themselves, so that way we're projecting ourselves to be even better from where we were last year.
I have to imagine you're kind of like comparing as you go through each camp. You're like, what did this feel like last year? What was I experiencing when I got home after camp? And you're like, does it feel like a championship year? Reflecting on that, what comes to mind?
I think the age gap that we have here this year is phenomenal. I think we have a lot of new members that are really young, getting out of high school, starting their first year of college, things like that, and so we have time to build more, even from what we were last year. We still have so many returning vets that are still having like 2, 3 more years after this. And so it's amazing to see the growth that the program is having, the growth that the Bluecoats are having, and Drum Corner as a whole, right? A lot of newer kids and a lot of younger kids are starting to audition and see that, wow, I can actually do this. I think going through the audition camps, it's weird seeing everybody again, like coming from last year and knowing that what we did last year was like, we're held to a high standard now. We're the highest standard in drum corps right now. Personally, I don't think the pressure of that should affect what we're trying to do during the summer. Just because of the fact that we won doesn't mean that we're trying to win again. I think the matter of it is we're trying to beat 2024, the Bluecoats. We're not trying to beat anybody else. We're not trying to do anything like that. We're trying to beat ourselves from last year. So that way, when it comes to the show and the show design and everything like that, we're pushing it forward in the ways that we did last year, but even better. It felt so different last year, as it does for every single year. It's just so different to see everybody back and to see the new people join. And we took into consideration about the fact that it doesn't always have to rely on the vets. We can start trusting these new members to lead the pack and understand that we're trying to push something forward, and if you're going to hop on the train, hop on the train. I think everybody is starting to do that, especially when it comes to all 3 sections. To see that and to understand that they are wanting to push and they're wanting to exceed our expectations, the staff expectations, everybody else's expectations in the world. It's honestly humbling to see because of the fact that they want to push us.
The audition process and timeline is quite a bit different from when I marched. In that 2015 era, we were still contracting members, in April and after WGI World Championships. And is that the same now? Is the cast locked in? Where do things fall as far as actually having the 150 plus members, 165 on the field this year?
The Bluecoats made a decision to contract everybody before we got to April camp. Usually we contract a lot of the guard at April camp, and so there's still an audition at April camp, but we actually decided to make a new decision to just contract everybody before we even get to April camp. So the guard was set, the percussion, drum line, the brass was set even before we got to April camp. There were still a few auditions that were happening, but everything else was so locked in and solid before we even got to April camp. And so it's exciting to see that we're starting to put together the show and understand where everybody's at and get to introduce everybody to everyone. So that way it's not something that we're trying to make 3 different corps between each section, but we're trying to make one drum corps as a whole. And it's so exciting to see because of the fact that the biggest thing that I want for this season is to enjoy everybody's company. We're going to be with each other for almost 2.5 months. And so you're going to see the exact same 165 members every single day. And so if you find out that there's a couple of people that enjoy Pokemon or that enjoy other things outside of drum corps, it's so much easier to enjoy the season because of the fact that you have people that enjoy things that you enjoy. That may not be in the same section, and that may be in the same section, but you're now understanding that it's not just trying to make each section better, but you're trying to make the whole drum corps better as a whole. I think it's really cool. It's exciting to have 165 members already contracted by the start of April camp and by the start of spring training. I think we're in a really solid place to put ourselves in the right place starting spring training.
So let's talk about April camp specifically. In the 2025 Bluecoats show, as much as you're able to say, we now have a couple of details as far as what you guys are going to be playing, and we of course know that Stone Lux is going to be a huge part of the 2025 production. So tell me, you've got the cast locked in. You guys are ready for April camp. It's time for the 2025 DCI season. What was April camp like? What did you guys do throughout the weekend? What did you focus on?
I think the biggest thing was to get all facets of music, visual, anything like that for the designers to see and to like really in picture of what they're trying to do for the season. We got to see the set and things like that. We got to see the uniforms, and it's so exciting because of the fact that the designers are also excited about creating this show, and everybody else is so excited to create this show. The biggest thing for us during April camp is to get as much information and as much creativity and design things to the designers, so that way when we go into spring training, again, it's so different at Bluecoats just because of the fact that we're trying to build the show as we're going through spring training, and like we have Johnny V blocks and then we have Jim blocks just to figure out set design, how we want to set this, how we want to write this. And for Doug and for Tom, it was a lot of the music standpoint, trying to figure out what we're trying to do with how we're playing things, how we're trying to play things, how, you know, what the brass line can and can't play and things like that, so that way we're trying to put ourselves up for success as we enter spring training. It was a really good check-in for everybody. How's the brass playing? How's the percussion playing? How's the color guard moving and things like that? And so that way, when we get to spring training, it's go, go, go from there. We're building the show, we're putting everything together, the music, the set design, everything like that, and then we have our first show in June. And so I think it's exciting to realize that we're getting so close to spring training and we're getting to the start. That way, when we got to April camp, it was just like an energy. We all knew that we were getting so much closer to our goal of starting the season. We pushed through April camp, got all the music out, even some music that was like given to us on Friday night. We had to learn it Saturday. It's great. I think the brass line is doing great. I think the front ensemble and percussion are doing great, and the color guard are killing it in what they're doing. It's exciting to see just because of the fact that it was our first time all together as a drum corps and got to see everybody just focus on the family aspect because of the fact that we were so close with everyone last year, and so trying to bring that back and like really get close to everybody so that I talked about this earlier, but it's not 3 drum corps, but it's one whole drum corps. So it's exciting to see.
I'm sure you guys learned a little bit more about the show. Tell me about hearing it from the designers, the first time giving you like the elevator pitch, and what was that experience like, and what was the reaction of yourself and the core, if you could speak to for them as well.
Hearing the design options and what they're going through, even before the season ends last year, they were already thinking about things from a visual standpoint, a musical standpoint, an actual like holistic standpoint of what the show like we want the concept to be, and to hear it and to understand it. And we had like a slideshow and things like that, and so they were showing a bunch of images of uniforms, costume designs. They had a bunch of pictures of what, you know, the show is like made out of, thought of, things like that. When we go there, all the designers are there, and so they have their own pitch of what they're trying to do, and so they have their set design, the uniform design, the music, how we want that, and then Johnny V as a holistic just explains what the actual show is and what it's trying to portray. We were all like, oh my gosh, it's happening. To feel the energy just flow behind me, to just like feel everyone's smiles, and coming off of last season, it was like, all right, that was sick. How are we going to top this? And then everybody behind me, it was just like, wow, this is going to be absolutely amazing, and this is like, we're going to be the best in the world. Of course, like I can't say too much about it because that's the Bluecoats way per se of we're trying to hold it off until everybody sees it at our first show. But just know that the Bluecoats are definitely cooking up something.
Final question. Stone Lux has been a huge part of the production, their music, their just inspiration for the design and creatively. What is it like to have that involved in your experience and be able to interact so closely with them?
To have Sonlux want, first of all, to want to be a part of Drum Corps International and be a part of the Bluecoats, it's amazing because we don't see a lot of artists like this trying to introduce themselves to something that they don't even know coming in out of the gate, but they want to see what's up and to see what's new and fresh. And meeting Ryan Lott last year was absolutely amazing. He came down for a couple days during spring training and like got to see the show design, how everything works with sound, and what Ryan Lott and what his group is doing with Sonlux is, it's so amazing because again, they're Academy Award winning artists, and to see them want to enjoy drum corps and to do drum corps and to like put their own version of what they want to see in Drum Corps International. It's so amazing. It's going to be a new piece of music that they are writing for the Bluecoats to perform. And so to realize that we're going to perform something brand new, fresh from Son Lux, it's so amazing. This is not something that like a lot of people get to do or enjoy or participate in, and so to be a part of the Bluecoats and to like actually like do this with them, it's one in a lifetime experience. Ryan Lott's going to be in spring training for a couple of days again in 2025, and then I think we have a whole group coming out for finals to see us, and so it's pretty exciting. And so I can't wait for that. Can't wait for that experience, and I just honestly just can't wait for the 2025 Bluecoats.
Thank you again, Tony, for taking the time to chat with me and give us a little bit of a look into what the 2025 Bluecoats will be and is becoming. And, it's still in the works, obviously. So we'll check back in a couple of weeks once spring training hits. I'm really excited to see this and excited to see how the audience reacts to it. So thank you again for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.